Welcome to Mr. English Lab. Here, we don't just learn English, we feel it. In every episode, you'll listen slowly, think deeply, and practice speaking with meaning and emotion. Today's topic is something that touches every heart. What makes life meaningful? So, take a deep breath, find a quiet place, and just listen slowly, calmly, completely. Because when you listen with your heart, English becomes more than a language. It becomes a way to understand life. The Quiet Fire Before the Sunrise, cinematic motivational beginner-friendly narration, one long paragraph, simple English. It was still dark outside when the world felt silent and heavy, and in that deep early morning quiet, I felt something inside me wake up like a small fire that wanted to grow, and as I opened my eyes, I could feel a strange mix of fear and hope because sometimes a new day does not begin with sunlight. Sometimes it begins with a feeling, a whisper inside you that says something must change, and in that moment I did not know what that change was. But I knew I had to tell you this story because maybe you also feel this quiet fire inside you. Maybe you also want to do something new, something better, something stronger, but you are not sure how to begin, and as I slowly sat up on the edge of my bed, I looked around my small room and everything looked the same as yesterday, the same walls, the same desk, the same clothes, but I did not feel the same, no, something felt different inside me. And that difference was the beginning of understanding why proactive people succeed and why people who wait, people who hope without action, stay in the same place for years. And I remember sitting there in the darkness thinking about life, thinking about how fast time moves, thinking about how many chances I had lost simply because I waited for the right time, the perfect moment, the good mood, and nothing changed. And as I slowly stood up and walked to the window, I could feel the cold air from outside touching my skin, and the city was silent. No cars, no voices, only the sound of the wind moving softly. And in that deep silence, I understood something important, something I want to share with you today. Success does not begin with a plan. Success begins with a decision, a small decision like waking up before the world, like listening to the fire inside you even when everything around you is dark. And as I looked at the sky, still black, still empty, I thought about all the people in the world who were still asleep, all the people who were still dreaming, all the people who were still waiting, and I realized I did not want to wait anymore. I wanted to live with intention. I wanted to move with purpose. I wanted to act before life pushed me, and this is the heart of proactivity, the reason proactive people succeed. They don't wait for the perfect moment, they create the moment. They walk into the darkness before the light comes. They choose the hard step first so the journey becomes easier later. And I want to take you inside this moment with me inside this early morning silence, because maybe you have felt this too. Maybe you have woken up one day and thought, I want to change something. But then the day passed and nothing changed. And that is what happens to most people. Because thinking is easy, dreaming is easy, planning is easy, but action in the dark, action when you don't know the result, that is hard. And that is what proactive people do. They choose action before comfort. They choose growth before fear. And as I stood there, I felt a little scared too. Scared of failing, scared of trying something new, scared of what people might say. And maybe you feel that too. Maybe you want to speak better English. Maybe you want to build a better life. Maybe you want to start something new. But fear keeps you waiting. But let me tell you something from that quiet morning. Fear stays until you move. Fear grows when you sit still. Fear disappears when you rise. And in that darkness, I felt a small strength telling me to move, to do something, even a small thing. And that is the secret. Proactivity is not about doing something big. Proactivity is about taking one simple step before you feel ready, and that first step opens the next door, and the next door, and the next. And suddenly your life starts to move again, and as I stood by the window breathing in the cold morning air, I thought about all the times I waited for motivation, all the times I said, I will start tomorrow, all the times I believed I needed confidence before I could act, but now I understood the truth. Action creates confidence, not the other way around, and maybe today you are listening to this because you want to improve your English, or because you want to understand life better, or maybe because you want to feel stronger inside, and this story will help you. Because today we will walk together through moments of fear, moments of choice, moments of change, and in each moment we will discover how proactive people think, how they speak, how they act, and why they reach success while others dream but never move. And as the minutes passed, the sky outside slowly changed from black to a soft gray, and I could see the shape of the world appearing again, the buildings, the trees, the empty streets. And I thought about how the morning always comes, no matter how long the night is, and maybe your life feels like that night. Maybe you feel stuck, maybe you feel lost, maybe you feel tired, but the morning always comes, and proactive people do not wait for the morning. They become the morning. They become their own start, their own push, their own light. And as I continued watching the sky slowly brighten, I began to think about one person whose story changed my life. A person who taught me what real proactivity looks like. A person who taught me that small steps can transform everything. A person who began life with nothing but a dream and a decision. And in the next moments of this story, I will tell you about him. Because his journey will help you feel something inside you move again, something rise again, something become stronger again. But before we go there, I want you to imagine this early morning with me. Imagine the darkness. Imagine the silence. Imagine the cold air touching your face. Imagine the whole world sleeping while you are awake, listening to your inner voice saying, "Today can be different." And as you imagine this, I want you to understand that this moment, this quiet moment before sunrise, is where proactive life begins, not with noise, not with excitement, not with motivation videos or big speeches, but with a quiet fire, a small feeling that says you want more from your life, and that is enough to begin. And as I looked at the horizon, a thin line of light appeared, soft, weak, but still there. And I whispered to myself, this is the start, and maybe this is also the start for you. Maybe this is your morning, your moment to rise, your moment to choose action, your moment to choose movement over waiting. And as the sky turned a little lighter, I felt my heartbeat slow down, and I felt calm, and I understood something that changed everything. Success is not found in the future. Success is found in the small choices you make today, right now, in this moment. And maybe your small choice is listening to this story. Maybe your small choice is learning English step by step. Maybe your small choice is deciding to be proactive instead of reactive. And if that is true, then this is already a victory, because proactive people start small, but they stay consistent, and that consistency builds a new life. And as I stood there in that early morning light, I felt a new energy in my body, a new focus in my mind, and a new courage in my heart. And that courage came from one simple thought: I will not wait. And maybe you can say that too, even softly, even quietly. Even if your voice shakes a little, say it with me in your mind: I will not wait. And that simple line, that simple promise, will open the next chapter of your life. And as the first birds began to sing outside, I smiled, because I knew the day was finally beginning, and this story was ready to unfold. And you are here with me, walking with me through this moment, learning English with me, growing with me, and together we will understand the power of proactivity. And we will see why proactive people succeed, but more importantly, how you can become one of them starting today, starting now, starting in this quiet morning before the sun fully rises. The Man Who Stopped Waiting, cinematic motivational narration, simple English, one long paragraph. I want to take you into another early morning, one that happened many years ago, in a small town far from the noise of big cities, where a young man named Daniel lived, and his story is one of the clearest examples of proactivity I have ever seen. And today, I want you to feel this story, not just hear it, because when you feel it, your English grows, your understanding grows, and your heart grows, and maybe something inside you will begin to move just like it did inside him. So imagine this. With me now, Daniel woke up before the sun, just like I did, but his morning was different because his life was difficult, and his room was cold, and his bed was old, and his dreams felt small because the world around him was not kind. He lived in a neighborhood where people talked more about problems than solutions, where people waited for luck but never built anything, where people drank tea and talked for hours about how life was unfair, but never took the first step to change it, and Daniel felt stuck in that world. He felt small inside, he felt lost, but even with all that pain, he had something inside him that most people around him did not have. He had a question that kept whispering in his mind every morning. What if I try? And that question was the beginning of everything, because what if I try is the first light of a proactive mind. And on this particular morning, the air was cold, the sky was black, and Daniel sat on the floor of his small room, thinking about his life, thinking about his future, thinking about how he always waited for someone to help him, someone to guide him, someone to show him a path, and nothing changed. And he remembered all the times he said, I will start tomorrow, all the times he told himself, I am not ready, all the times he thought, I need more time, and he realized something shocking. He had been waiting for years, waiting for motivation, waiting for confidence, waiting for permission, waiting for signs, waiting for everything except himself, and in that cold morning silence, he felt something important, something heavy, something real. He felt tired of waiting, tired of excuses, tired of the same days repeating again and again. And in that moment, he whispered something soft but powerful, I must change. And maybe you have said this to yourself too. Maybe you have looked at your life and thought, I want to change, but I don't know how. And if you have ever felt that, then you will understand Daniel's heart, because change does not begin with knowledge. Change begins with honesty. And that morning, Daniel was honest with himself for the first time, and that honesty opened the door to proactivity. And as he sat there looking at the weak light entering through the small window, he remembered something his teacher once told him, something he did not understand at that time. But now, in this quiet morning, those words came back like a message. People fail not because they are weak, but because they wait. And when those words returned to his mind, he felt a small shock inside his chest, because he realized he had been living like a person waiting for a miracle instead of becoming one. And maybe you also know this feeling. Maybe you also wait for motivation videos to push you, or for someone to tell you you can do it, or for the perfect moment to begin speaking English confidently. But here is a truth that Daniel learned that morning, and you can learn right now. The perfect moment does not exist. The perfect day does not come. The perfect feeling never arrives. You create the moment by acting before you feel ready. And as he stood up, Daniel felt a little scared, because he did not know where to begin. He did not know what to do. He did not know how to change his life, but he told himself something very small, something very simple. Take one step, and that is the heart of proactivity. One small step before you feel prepared. One small action that changes the direction of your life. And Daniel decided that his first step would be learning a new skill, something that could help him find better work, something that could help him grow, something that could open new doors. And he chose English, not because it was easy, but because he believed it would give him a new life. And that morning, as the sun slowly began to rise over the old roofs of his neighborhood, Daniel sat down on the floor with an old notebook and a cheap pen, and he began writing simple English words, small words. Easy words, maybe the same words you are learning now, and he felt strange, because for the first time he was not waiting, he was acting, and even though the step was small, the feeling inside him was big, because inside that small action he felt hope. He felt strength. He felt the future opening just a little, like a door that had been closed for years finally moving again. And every day after that, he woke up before the sun and studied a little more, sometimes 10 minutes, sometimes 20, sometimes 1 hour, but every day he took a step, and something beautiful began to happen inside him. He became a little more confident, a little more focused, a little more alive, and the people around him did not understand. They told him he was wasting time. They told him nothing would change. They told him life was too hard to dream. And every time he heard these words, he felt a small pain in his chest, but he kept going, because proactive people do not act for applause, they act for progress. And slowly Daniel's English became better. Slowly his thinking became clearer. Slowly his dreams felt closer, and one day, he walked into a company in the city and asked for a small job, and the manager looked at him and said, "You speak English?" And Daniel nodded, not perfectly, not confidently, but honestly, and that manager smiled and said, "We need someone like you," and in that moment Daniel understood something powerful. His small steps had become a big opportunity. His small choices had built a new door. His small mornings had created a new life. And as he walked home with his first job offer, he felt the morning sun warm his face, and he thought about all the years he wasted waiting, all the years he believed he needed luck, all the years he wished for change without taking action, and now he understood the truth he had been searching for. Success does not come to those who wait. Success comes to those who move. And as he walked down that street, he remembered his first morning, the dark one, the cold one, the silent one, and he whispered to himself, this was the day everything changed. And maybe today, as you listen to this story, you are also standing in your own early morning. Maybe you are still in the dark part of your life. Maybe you are tired. Maybe you are scared. Maybe you feel stuck, but if you can take one small step today, even a simple step, like listening to this lesson, repeating one English sentence, writing one word, doing one action, that moves your life even 1 inch forward, then you are already becoming proactive, you are already changing your path, you are already doing something powerful, and you must understand this. Proactivity is not magic, proactivity is a habit. A quiet habit that grows inside you every time you choose action instead of waiting. And Daniel became successful not because he was lucky, not because he was special, but because he chose to move while others chose to wait, and his story teaches us something simple and beautiful. Your life changes when you do. Your future grows when your courage grows, and your world becomes bigger when your steps become braver. And now, as we move deeper into this journey together, I want you to remember Daniel's morning. Because his morning can also be your morning, and in the next part of this story, I will take you even deeper into his transformation, and we will explore what proactive thinking truly looks like, how proactive people act when life becomes hard, and how you can build the same strength inside yourself starting today. When life pushes you, push back. Cinematic motivational narration, simple English, 1 long paragraph, 2,000 plus words. After Daniel started his new job, he felt like his life was finally moving, but what he did not know was that the biggest test of his journey was still waiting for him, because life does not simply give you success when you take one step. No, life tests you. Life asks you, are you serious? And for many people, this is where they stop. This is where they go back to waiting. But for proactive people, this is where they grow. And Daniel was about to learn this lesson in a very hard way. So let me take you into another morning, this time not dark and silent, but full of noise, stress, and pressure. The kind of morning that tries to break you, the kind of morning that decides who you really are, and on this morning, Daniel woke up late. His alarm did not ring, or maybe he was too tired from working so hard the day before, and when he opened his eyes, he felt a sharp fear in his stomach because the sun was already high, and he knew he was in trouble, and his mind started to panic. Thoughts running fast, the manager will be angry. I might lose my job. I am not good enough, and he almost felt frozen, like his body did not want to move. But then he remembered something he promised himself, something he whispered on that first morning, I will not wait. And that small sentence pushed him out of bed like a force greater than fear, and he rushed to get ready, his hands shaking, his heart beating fast, and as he ran through the small streets toward the bus stop, he felt the cold air cutting across his face. But he did not stop, because proactive. People do not freeze when things go wrong. They move faster, they act stronger, they take responsibility even when they make mistakes, and as he finally got on the crowded bus, his mind kept racing, and he felt embarrassed, he felt ashamed, he felt weak. But he also felt a small voice inside saying, fix it, and that voice was the difference between who he used to be and who he was becoming, and after a long, stressful ride, he reached the office, his clothes still messy, his breathing heavy. And he walked straight to the manager with honesty in his eyes, and he said something simple but brave. I am sorry. I woke up late. It is my mistake, and I will do better. And that moment was important, because most people make excuses. Most people blame traffic, blame weather, blame everyone except themselves, but proactive people take responsibility. They do not run from the truth, and the manager looked at Daniel for a long moment, silent, thinking, testing, and then he said, thank you for being honest. Do better next time. And just like that, Daniel realized something powerful. Responsibility earns respect, and respect creates trust, and trust creates opportunity. And this was only the beginning of the challenges that would come, because life was about to push him even harder, and he would have to decide again and again whether he wanted to wait or wanted to rise. And one afternoon, a few weeks later, Daniel was given a difficult task at work, something he had never done before. Something that scared him, something that made him feel small again. The company needed someone to organize a large shipment record, something that required English, focus, patience, and accuracy, and when the manager asked him to do it, Daniel's heart dropped. And inside his mind a voice whispered, you cannot do this. You are not ready. And for a short moment he believed that voice, because we all have that voice inside us, the voice of doubt, the voice of fear, the voice that says, stay small. But then another voice inside him came back, the same one that woke him up on the first morning, the same one that pushed him to learn English when everyone around him said it was useless, and that voice said, try, and so Daniel took the task. Even though his hands were shaking, even though he felt afraid, even though he knew he could fail, because proactive people are not fearless, proactive people act even when they feel fear, and as he sat at his desk that evening, the office almost empty, the lights buzzing softly above him, Daniel opened the files and began reading the English words, slowly, carefully, sometimes repeating a sentence 3 times just to understand it. But he did not stop. He did not complain. He did not say, this is too hard. Because he knew something important. Difficult things become easy when you stay with them long enough. And as the hours passed, the world outside grew dark, and the city lights began to glow, and Daniel kept working, the soft sound of pages turning, the quiet clicks of the keyboard, the slow breathing of a young man trying his best to be more than his past. And in that quiet office, he had a realization that changed him. Proactivity is not about doing more than others. Proactivity is about doing what you can, with what you have, where you are, and doing it consistently, and around midnight, he finally finished the work, tired but proud, because he did not run away, he did not hide. He did not wait for someone else to save him, and the next morning, when the manager saw the completed task, he was surprised, impressed, and he said, "You stayed late," and Daniel nodded politely, not asking for praise, not asking for reward, simply standing there with quiet confidence. And the manager smiled and said, "Good work," and those two words felt like a warm light inside Daniel's heart, because when someone recognizes your effort, even in a small way, it gives you energy to keep going, to keep growing, to keep pushing forward, and that moment became a turning point in his journey, because now Daniel understood that proactivity was not just a habit, it was a new identity, a new version of himself, and this new identity began to affect everything in his life, the way he walked, the way he talked, the way he learned, the way he believed in himself, and even the way he faced problems, because one thing proactive people understand deeply is this: problems are part of life, but they are also part of success. And as the weeks passed, Daniel faced many more challenges, small ones like misunderstanding a client's message in English, big ones like a difficult project that almost made him quit, and emotional ones like feeling lonely because he was working so hard while his friends were relaxing, laughing, and living easy lives, and sometimes he felt tired, sometimes he felt confused, sometimes he even felt lost, but each time he wanted to give up. He remembered why he started. He remembered the dark morning when he woke up with a quiet fire inside him. He remembered the cold air, the silence, the decision that changed everything, and he whispered to himself, "Keep going." And that small whisper kept him alive, kept him strong, kept him focused, and he learned something beautiful. Being proactive does not mean being perfect. Being proactive means not stopping, not quitting, not waiting for life to get easier. Being proactive means showing up even when your heart is heavy, even when your mind is tired, even when your confidence is low, because every time you show up, you build a new version of yourself, a version that is stronger, clearer, more awake, and more ready for the future. And one evening, when Daniel was walking home from work, the sky turning orange and purple, he stopped for a moment on a small bridge overlooking the river, and he thought about his journey so far, and he realized something deep and emotional. He was no longer the boy who waited, no longer the boy who wished for luck, no longer the boy who believed he was too small, too weak, too ordinary to build a better life. He had become someone else, someone who acted, someone who chose courage, someone who did not wait for opportunity but created it, and in that quiet evening light, he felt grateful, proud, and peaceful. And maybe right now, as you listen to this story, you are thinking about your own life, your own mornings, your own fears, your own steps, and maybe you feel something inside you rising slowly, quietly, like a small fire becoming stronger. And if you feel that, even a little, then this story is doing its work. Because proactivity starts inside you before it appears outside you, and you can begin today. You can begin now. You can begin with one small action that moves your life just a little bit forward, because every step counts, every moment matters, and every choice becomes part of your future. And now, as we move into the next part of this journey, I want to take you deeper into the mind of a proactive person, deeper into Daniel's thinking, deeper into the decisions that shape success. Because what comes next will show you the difference between living life by chance and living life by choice, and this difference is what separates people who succeed from people who only dream. The small act that changed everything. And now, my friend, I want to take you into a moment, a very small moment, a moment that most people would ignore. But proactive people do not ignore these moments. They pay attention. They understand that sometimes a small act can change the direction of an entire day, an entire week, or even an entire life. So imagine the scene with me, slowly, clearly, like a soft movie playing in your ears. It is early morning. The sun is not strong yet. The street is quiet. And a young man is walking to work. His name is Arun. He works in a small shop. He is not rich. He is not famous. He is not special in the way people normally use the word special. But inside him, something powerful is growing. A seed of proactivity, a seed of responsibility, a seed of confidence. But that morning, he does not know that something big is waiting for him. He is simply walking, holding his bag, thinking about his day. And then, he sees an old man standing near the road. The old man looks tired. He is carrying a heavy box. And for a moment, just a tiny moment, Arun feels a voice inside him say, "Help him." But another voice says, "You are late. You have work. Someone else will help him." And this moment is where reactive people and proactive people separate. Reactive people wait. Reactive people say, "Maybe later." Reactive people let the moment pass. But proactive people act before excuses appear. So Arun stops. He turns. He walks to the old man and says in simple, clear, friendly English, "Sir, can I help you with this?" The old man looks surprised. No one asked him that. People walked past him all morning. But Arun lifts the box, walks with the man, and helps him reach the bus. The entire event takes less than 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes. But those 5 minutes will change the next 15 years of his life. Because the old man is not just an old man. He is the owner of a small local business. A business that needs someone responsible. Someone proactive. Someone who does not wait for instructions. Someone who sees a problem and takes action. He watches Arun help him. He sees the kindness, the honesty, the responsibility, and he smiles. He asks, "Where do you work?" Arun tells him. The old man just nods quietly. And then, nothing. Days pass. Weeks pass. Life continues. Arun forgets about the old man. But the old man does not forget about Arun. And one morning, the old man walks into the shop where Arun works. He asks for him by name. Arun comes. He is confused. And the old man says slowly, softly, "I watched you help me that day. I saw something in you. I want to offer you a new job. A better job. A job with more responsibility. A job with more future." And in that moment, Arun learns something that all proactive people know. Small actions create big opportunities. But big opportunities do not come from waiting. They come from doing. They come from giving your best even when no one is watching. They come from helping without expecting anything. They come from choosing to act instead of choosing to avoid. And now, let me ask you, my friend, how many opportunities walked past you, quietly, softly, without making any noise? How many times did you tell yourself, "I will do it later"? How many times did you wait for someone else to move first? How many times did you miss the chance to change your life just because the action felt too small? Because this is how proactive people succeed. Not with huge dramatic moments. Not with luck. Not with magic. They succeed one small decision at a time, one small action at a time, one small responsibility at a time. And the best part? Anyone can start today. Including you. The moment you take control. Now, my friend, I want you to slow down with me for a moment. Take a breath. Feel your shoulders relax. Because this part of our story, this part of your English journey, and this part of your life is very important. It is the moment when you take control. Not control of the world. You start, readiness comes. Confidence comes. Strength comes. Success comes. So, let me give you a small picture, a simple example, something you can feel in your own life. Think about your English learning. How many times have you said, I will practice tomorrow? How many times have you said, I will start when I'm free? How many times have you watched others speak fluently and thought, I wish I could speak like that? Proactive people do not wish. They practice. Even when they feel shy. Even when they feel nervous. Even when their pronunciation is not perfect. Even when their grammar is not perfect. Even when they feel scared. They practice. They speak. They listen. They continue. And slowly, their English becomes stronger. Not because they are smarter. Not because they are lucky. But because they take responsibility for their progress. They choose the proactive door again and again. Even on the days when they do not feel motivated. Even on the days when they feel tired. Even on the days when life feels heavy. And I want you to imagine something. Imagine yourself 6 months from now. Imagine your English voice is clearer. Imagine you can speak without stopping. Imagine you can express your ideas with confidence. Imagine you can understand native speakers easily. Imagine you feel proud. That future version of you is speaking fluently because of the decisions you make today, not tomorrow. And that is the heart of being proactive. You stop waiting. You stop delaying. You stop hiding. You take control of the things that are already in your hands, your actions, your choices, your effort, your practice, your time. And when you take control of these things, life starts to open. Doors start to open. Opportunities start to appear. Not because luck changed, but because you changed. And that is the moment you take control. The moment your story begins to shift. The moment your future begins to shine. And in this journey, I am here with you. Step by step. Word by word. Sentence by sentence. Helping you speak English not just with grammar, but with heart, with clarity, with confidence, and with the power of a proactive mind. When life tests your proactivity, now let me take you into another moment. A deeper moment. A moment that every proactive person meets at some point in their life. Because it is easy to be proactive when everything feels simple. It is easy to take action when days are smooth, when your mind is clear, when you have energy and motivation. But real proactivity, true proactivity, is tested on difficult days. And today, I want you to imagine one of those days. Maybe it is a day in your past. Maybe it is a day that could happen in your future. But let me paint the scene slowly, softly, so you can feel it inside your heart. Imagine you wake up late. Your alarm didn't ring. Your head feels heavy. The weather outside is dark. The world feels slow. You check your phone and see messages waiting for you. Messages you don't want to answer. You feel stress in your chest. You feel pressure in your mind. And inside your head, a quiet voice whispers, not today. I can't deal with anything today. I just want to escape. And this is the moment. This is the real test. Because reactive people collapse here. They give up here. They say, I will fix everything tomorrow. They say, today is already ruined. They let one bad moment control the whole day. But proactive people, they take a breath. They pause. They talk to themselves gently. And they choose one small action. Not a big action. Not a dramatic action. Just one small thing they can control. They make the bed. They drink water. They sit up straight. They take a shower. They clean their desk. They reply to one message. They complete one small task. And in that moment, something powerful happens. The day begins to shift. The mind begins to open. The heart begins to calm. And suddenly, the world does not look so heavy. Because proactive people understand something very simple. You don't need to fix everything. You only need to start something. And slowly, the energy returns. Slowly, the motivation returns. Slowly, the confidence returns. Not because life became easier, but because they became stronger. And let me tell you a story to make this idea feel even more real. There was a woman named Lena. She was a university student. She had big dreams, big goals, big plans. But one semester, everything fell apart. She failed an important exam. She had problems at home. Her best friend stopped talking to her. She felt alone. She felt lost. She felt like her life was breaking. And for weeks, she did nothing. She avoided studying. She avoided friends. She avoided teachers. She stayed in her room and cried almost every night. She was stuck in a reactive loop, waiting, avoiding, escaping. But one morning, something small happened. Something tiny. She found an old notebook under her bed. Inside it, she had written a sentence from a workshop she attended years ago. The sentence said, "Do the smallest possible thing you can control." And she cried again. But this time, the tears were different. Because she realized she still had control over something. So she decided to do one small thing. She cleaned her desk. That's all. One small action. The next day, she studied for 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes. The next day, she studied for 10 minutes. And slowly, very slowly, her life started to rebuild. Her confidence returned. Her grades improved. She fixed her relationships. And one day, she looked back and said, "I changed my life with one tiny action." And that, my friend, is the heart of proactivity. Not perfection. Not big jumps. Not sudden success. Just small actions repeated again and again until the path becomes clear. So when life tests you, and it will, remember this. You don't need strength to begin. Beginning creates strength. You don't need motivation to start. Starting creates motivation. You don't need to feel ready. You create readiness by moving. And right now, even in this moment, as you listen to my voice, you are taking control. You are practicing English. You are improving yourself. You are choosing growth. You are choosing responsibility. You are choosing the proactive door. And that choice, even if it feels small, is shaping your future in a big way. How proactive people think differently. Now come with me into the mind of a proactive person. Not a superhero. Not a genius. Not someone with a perfect life. Just a normal person who learned to think in a different way. Because this is the real secret of success. Proactive people do not think like reactive people. Their mindset, their internal language, their emotional habits, everything is different. And today, I want you to feel that difference inside your own mind. Imagine you are sitting in a quiet room. A soft light. A calm atmosphere. You hear the gentle sound of your own breath. And it feels like your mind is a small room with 2 chairs. On one chair sits the reactive version of you. On the other chair sits the proactive version of you. Both are you. Both live inside you. But both see the world in opposite ways. The reactive you waits. The proactive you acts. The reactive you blames. The proactive you learns. The reactive you complains. The proactive you adjusts. The reactive you says, "I have no time." The proactive you says, "Let me find time." The reactive you says, "It's not my fault." The proactive you says, "It's my responsibility." And now, picture this. A single event happens in your life. Maybe your boss gives you extra work. Maybe your friend disappoints you. Maybe your plan fails. Maybe your phone breaks. Maybe your English practice feels difficult. The reactive mind says, "Why me? This is unfair. I can't do anything." The proactive mind says, "Okay. What can I control? What can I do next?" Calm down. Solve it slowly. And this second mindset, this simple shift, changes your whole life. Because proactive people do not let emotions drive their decisions. They do not say, I feel bad right now, so I will quit. They breathe. They think. They ask better questions. And this is the key. Proactive people ask powerful questions. Questions that move them forward. Questions that open doors. Questions that calm the mind instead of making it angry. Questions like, what is the first small step I can take? What can I learn from this? How can I make this better? What is the opportunity here? What is in my control right now? Reactive people ask weak questions. Questions that make life heavier. Questions that create stress. Questions that close doors. Questions like, why does this always happen? Why is life so hard? Why do people treat me like this? Why can't I be lucky? One question opens your future. The other question closes it. One question builds your confidence. The other question destroys it. One question builds success. The other question builds excuses. And you know what is beautiful? You have the power to choose which questions you ask. Right now. Today. This moment. You can choose the proactive voice inside you. You can choose the strong voice. The responsible voice. The calm voice. The wise voice. The future-building voice. And when you do, something magical begins to happen in your life. You feel lighter. You feel more confident. You feel more in control. You feel ready for challenges instead of afraid of them. And when your English practice feels difficult, you don't give up. You don't say, I can't learn this. You say, let me try again. Let me repeat. Let me listen slowly. Let me practice one more time. That is the language of a proactive mind. That is the energy of growth. That is the beginning of transformation. Because here is the truth. Your life changes the moment your thinking changes. Not when your salary increases. Not when you get a new job. Not when you travel to a new country. Not when someone motivates you. But when your mind chooses a new direction. When your thoughts become your strength instead of your weakness. When your inner voice becomes your guide instead of your enemy. And right now, as you listen to my voice here on Mr. English Lab, you are training your mind. You are training your English. You are training your future. Because your thinking determines your actions. And your actions determine your results. And your results determine your future. And all of it begins with one simple decision. Choose the proactive chair inside your mind. Sit in it. Trust it. Grow with it. And let it guide you toward the life you want. The power of starting before you feel ready. Now let me take you into another story. A story that lives very close to the heart of every proactive person. Because one of the biggest lies we tell ourselves is this: I will start when I feel ready. But, my friend, nobody ever feels ready. Not truly. Not completely. Not perfectly. And today, I want to guide you into this powerful truth, slowly, gently, like a soft voice walking beside you in a quiet morning. Imagine a young girl named Miriam. She dreams of becoming a speaker, someone who can stand in front of people and talk with confidence. But every time she thinks about speaking, her heart beats fast. Her hands shake. Her voice becomes small. Her thoughts become loud. And she tells herself again and again, I will try when I feel ready. But months pass. Then years. And she is still waiting. Waiting for confidence. Waiting for courage. Waiting for the perfect moment. Waiting for magic. Waiting for a feeling that never comes. One day, she attends a workshop. The trainer looks at the group and says a simple sentence that feels like a lightning strike in Miriam's heart. He says, confidence does not come before action. Confidence comes after action. And in that moment, something changes inside her. She realizes she has been waiting for the wrong thing. She has been waiting for courage, when courage comes from doing. She has been waiting for confidence, when confidence grows from practice. She has been waiting to feel strong, when strength is built by moving through fear, not by avoiding it. And that night, she sits in her room, looks at herself in the mirror, and whispers, "I am going to start. Even if I am scared, even if my voice shakes, even if my hands tremble, I will start before I feel ready." The next day, she volunteers to give a small talk in her class. Her voice shakes. She makes mistakes. Her hands feel cold. Her English is not perfect. But she speaks. She finishes. And the room claps softly. Not because she was perfect, but because she had the courage to begin. And for the first time in her life, she smiles, not because the talk went well, but because she finally moved. She finally acted. She finally stepped into the proactive door. The next week, she tries again. Still nervous. Still shaking. Still unsure. But a little stronger. The next month, she tries again. Her voice becomes clearer. Her confidence becomes louder. Her fear becomes smaller. And one day, she stands in front of a large audience. Calm, confident, strong, speaking with a voice that feels like sunshine. The silent habit that builds success. Now, my friend, I want to take you into a quieter part of this journey, a softer part, a place where real success is built quietly, secretly, without noise or attention. Because proactive people have a habit, a very small habit, a silent habit, that changes their entire life. And today, I want you to feel this habit like a warm breeze, gentle and slow, moving through your mind and touching your heart. Imagine a young man named Rafi. He is not famous. He is not powerful. He is not special in the way people sometimes define special. But he has something precious, a small proactive habit that he practices every single day. And this habit is simple. He does one important thing every day before anyone wakes up. Just one thing. One small task. One step forward. One action for his future. Sometimes he reads for 15 minutes. Sometimes he practices English. Sometimes he plans his day. Sometimes he writes his goals. Sometimes he stretches. Sometimes he just sits quietly and breathes. But he does it every single morning. Not because he has to. Not because someone told him. Not because he is motivated every day. But because he knows something powerful, something most people never understand. Success is not built in big moments. Success is built in small habits that you repeat when no one is watching. And every morning, he tells himself quietly, "This is for my future." And slowly, day by day, that quiet habit begins to shape his life. His mind becomes clearer. His days become easier. His thinking becomes stronger. His confidence becomes louder. People around him begin to notice the change. They say, "Wow, you are so disciplined. You are so motivated. You are so lucky." And Rafi smiles softly because he knows the truth. He is not lucky. He is consistent. He is proactive. He takes responsibility every single morning. Even on days when he feels tired. Even on days when he feels stressed. Even on days when he feels lost. Because proactive people understand something reactive people don't. Small daily habits build big results. Not big decisions. Not big speeches. Not big achievements. Not big dreams. But the tiny habits we repeat every day. The habits that build our identity. The habits that prepare us for opportunity. The habits that make us stronger without noise. And now, let me bring this idea into your world. Into your English journey. Into your personal growth. Into your future. Maybe you want to speak English fluently. Maybe you want to change your life. Maybe you want to grow your skills. Maybe you want to achieve something meaningful. But you don't need to study for 2 hours every day. You don't need to memorize hundreds of words. You don't need to speak perfectly immediately. You just need a small proactive habit. Something simple. Something quiet. Something you can do every day without stress. Maybe you listen to English for 5 minutes. Maybe you speak one sentence to yourself. Maybe you learn 2 new words. Maybe you watch one short video. Maybe you practice pronunciation for 1 minute. Maybe you read 1 page. And that, my friend, is enough to start changing your future. Because improvement is not about intensity. It is about consistency. It is about repeating the action when your mind says, "Not today." It is about showing up for yourself even when the world feels heavy. It is about doing the small thing that moves your life forward. And this small habit, done quietly, done daily, done gently, becomes your anchor, your foundation, your base, your strength. And one day, you will look back and say, "I didn't change in one big moment. I changed through small daily habits." And that is the heart of proactivity. Not pressure, not stress, not perfection. Just quiet consistency, quiet growth, quiet responsibility, and quiet transformation. And I want you to imagine this. Imagine 1 year from now. Imagine your English voice is smooth. Imagine your confidence is strong. Imagine your future looks brighter. Imagine people asking you, "How did you improve so much?" And you smile and say, "I practiced a little bit every day." And that will be the truth. Because great futures are built in quiet mornings, in small decisions, in proactive habits, repeated again and again until your life becomes something new, something powerful, something beautiful. And right now, by listening to this lesson, you're already building that habit. You are already choosing growth. You are already stepping into your future. Gently, slowly, proactively. The moment you stop making excuses. Now, my friend, I want to take you into one of the deepest turning points in a proactive person's life, the moment they stop making excuses. This is not a loud moment, not a dramatic moment, not a moment filled with music or fireworks. It is a quiet moment, a private moment, a moment inside the heart, inside the mind, inside the soul. And this moment is powerful enough to change everything. Let me take you there slowly, softly, clearly. Imagine you are sitting alone in your room. The world outside is quiet. Maybe the night is dark, or maybe the morning sun is rising gently through your window. And you feel a weight inside you, not a physical weight, but a weight made of excuses. A weight made of "I can't." A weight made of "not now." A weight made of "I don't have time." A weight made of "I will try tomorrow." And for the first time, you listen to these excuses not with emotion, but with honesty. You say to yourself quietly, "Why am I stopping myself?" And suddenly, you realize the truth. Most of the obstacles in your life are not outside. They're inside. Most of the problems are not real. They're imagined. Most of the barriers are not physical. They are psychological. And in this moment of honesty, something begins to shift. Let me tell you the story of a man named Hassan to help you feel this truth even more deeply. Hassan always dreamed of running his own business. He talked about it for years. He told his friends. He told his family. He told himself. But he never started. Every time he thought about it, excuses came like waves crashing on a beach. "I don't have enough money. I don't have the right skills. I don't know the right people. What if I fail? It's not the right time. I will start next year." And he believed those excuses because they sounded true. They sounded logical. They sounded safe. But one evening, something changed. He met an old friend he had not seen for many years. The friend was running a successful online business. Hassan was shocked. His friend was not richer than him, not smarter than him, not more educated, not more confident. They grew up in the same neighborhood. They went to the same school. They had the same struggles. So Hassan asked, "How did you do it?" Your excuses might feel true, but they're not stronger than your potential. Your excuses might sound logical, but they do not have the power to control your future. Your excuses might feel safe, but they're slowly stealing your dreams. Proactive people are not people without excuses. They are people who look their excuses in the eye and say, "Not anymore." And maybe today, right now, in this moment, as you listen to this story here on Mr. English Lab, your moment has come too. Your moment to say. And that, my friend, is the silent moment where success begins.